Burn clay products have played an important part in the growth of the state of Utah, long before Utah was granted statehood. A pioneer's son, John P. Cahoon, started the Interstate Brick Company in 1891. Now, under the direction of his sons, this modern plant produces a vast majority of all brick used in the Intermountain West. But let's see how brick is made. This is clay, used by man for ages and ages for pottery, brick, figurines, and numerous writing materials. There are many kinds of clay, each having different colors and characteristics. By skillfully mixing these various clays, an expert can obtain just about any result he wants. But let's start our story by going to where clay is mined. Yes, clay is concentrated in beds or deposits, just as other valuable minerals, and must be prospected for, mined or dug in much the same manner as you would copper or iron. Some clay, like this red clay, is hard and requires blasting to loosen it so it can be easily handled. Clay deposits must be reasonably close to the plant, of good quality and economically usable, for the finished brick must be inexpensive. After blasting the hard, dry clay, rugged dozers are used to move it to where the power shovels can scoop up big bites and load it into the beds of waiting trucks. Perhaps some of the very clay you see here now is part of your new home, your new school, or a downtown office building. On its journey to the brick plant, the red clay travels a road very nearly the same as the old Mormon pioneer trail you see skirting the mountain in the top of the picture. But the journey on rubber tires is not a long one, for at Hennifer, railroad cars are loaded with clay to carry it the remaining 50 miles to the brick plant in Salt Lake City. 60 tons of clay to a car are brought in on the brick plant's own railroad siding. It takes about 45 of these railroad cars a week to keep up with Utah's construction industry. All of the clay, however, does not come by railroad. Some is trucked to the plant. The red clay in the cars is still in huge lumps the way it left the mine. Before it is sent to the stockpile, it is fed from the railroad cars through a pan feeder, which moves the clay to a single-roll crusher to quickly reduce the lumps in size no larger than a baseball. As the clay drops to the bottom of the crusher, it falls into a pit where it can be moved by a clamshell crane to the storage area, 1 1/2 cubic yards of clay at a scoop. Now let's see some of the other types of clay. Black shale used by Interstate Brick Company comes from a pit near Utah Lake. This black shale is softer than the red clay we saw earlier, so blasting is not required. The power shovels dig it out of the hillside and load it into the trucks. Because there are no railroad facilities near this particular pit, these trucks, operated by a trucking contractor, haul the shale directly to the plant. You will notice that everything so far has been done by machines, and human hands have never had to touch the clay. This has not always been so. Only recently has man had such efficient power equipment. These trucks contain the same material man has used since the beginning of time for building his homes and making useful utensils, all done by hand. The Indians of this very area use clay for pottery, and remains of this nearly lost art are still being found throughout Utah and farther south into Mexico. While pottery and burn clay products can be broken, they are still practically non-destructible, being fire-resistant, weatherproof, and rust-proof. The lasting qualities are determined by the kinds of clay used in the manufacture process. Some of the clays used today in the manufacture of brick and other burn clay products are fairly soft and pliable, like this black shale. The soft black shale can be dumped directly in the storage area without going through a crusher. The operator of the overhead crane rides back and forth, sorting the incoming clay, stacking it in the proper place. and picking up load after load of stored clay to feed the bins that start the raw clay on its way through the mill. You'll notice that each different kind of clay is stockpiled in a different area in this storage building, which is as long as a regular football field. As we mentioned before, the quality of the finished brick depends upon the proper combination of clays mixed. In order to mix the combinations properly, the crane operator must keep each bin filled with a particular type of clay required for the kind of brick being made. This process is much the same as your mother uses in mixing a cake. A little of this, a lot of that, and just the right amount of the other. You see, these bins contain the ingredients, which in this case run as follows. The first bin contains fire clay, found on the west side of Utah Lake and used for its plastic qualities. The next bin contains silica sand, mined near the point of the mountain, and used to reduce shrinkage when the brick is fired or burned. Next comes the clay used for the body and color. It is called 5 Mile clay, so named simply because it is found 5 miles from Fairfield, Utah. To automatically and precisely control the amount of clay fed from each bin, the skilled operator carefully watches his control panel. Merely by pushing buttons, he can mix his batches as skillfully as a chemist or pharmacist by controlling the speed of these feeders. Here, barium carbonate is added to the mix to counteract the natural soluble salts and give the brick a truer color. The conveyor you see here transports the mix to a dry pan grinder, where the clays are crushed by the weight of large mullers, each weighing 14,000 pounds. The pulverized material is then sent over a set of screens which separates the finely ground clay from the coarse. The fine clay drops through the screen and the coarse clay is returned for more grinding. The pulverized clay which drops through the screen is hoisted 3 or 4 stories, carried along a continuous never-ending belt, and falls into storage bins which hold approximately 100 tons each. These bins hold the dry clay mix in storage until the operator of the mixing machine needs it. A disc feeder portions the clay mix in exactly the right amounts needed by the operator. In olden days, all of this mixing, measuring, and manufacturing had to be done entirely by hand. But in this modern plant, by means of a vibrating pan feeder which eliminates all dust, the clay is mechanically shaken out of the storage bins and fed into the mixing machine. The final mixing machine is called a pug. Inside it, the right amount of water is added, and the entire mixture is kneaded and stirred and mixed by big knives turned by this powerful motor. Gauges, which tell the load on the motor, and others which show oil pressure, indicate to the operator the amount of water to be added to ensure the right temper. The clay is then forced through this mouthpiece in a long, glistening column. It is now very strong and tough due to the removal of air and extreme pressure it is under as it is forced through the forming die. When this ribbon of clay comes to the cutter, it is divided into units the true shape of brick. Tight, tough steel piano wires cut the clay to brick size. Notice the cutter moves at exactly the same speed as the clay column when cutting to produce a smooth, straight brick. The cutter makes about 10 cuts a minute, cutting approximately 10,000 brick per hour. From the cutter, the brick moves under a roller which smooths and separates the brick and spaces them on a continuous belt so they can be handled. The separated brick is now ready for stacking and curing before burning. By changing the die when the clay comes out of the pug, different shaped brick can be made. This particular die is making SCR brick. The cutter here is turning out a 2 1/6 inch SCR brick. By using a cutter 3½ inches wide, a larger SCR is made, and the units are separated on the belt in the same manner. Different combinations of dies and cutter sizes can be introduced to make almost any type of brick desired. In this scene, by changing the die and cutting reel, we make a 4 by 5 by 8 backup brick, which is the height of 2 brick and a standard mortar joint. This brick is used for interior backup work. After being cut, the brick travels along a conveyor where they are removed by hand and put on kill cars. Up to now, everything has been entirely done by machinery. But here, the brick is removed by hand and expertly stacked on kill cars for drying and firing. The kill cars are on tracks which pass under the conveyor. Everything has been planned for efficiency. The conveyor is at a convenient waist height to facilitate easier loading as the workers load the cars on which they stand. The brick here are green and must be cured, so at this point, preliminary inspections are made on the quality of manufacture. All imperfect brick continue down the belt where they return to a second belt to the pug machine and are reclaimed and extruded again. After the brick is loaded on the kill cars, the cars are stored together to await their turn in the dryer. This short waiting period helps condition the brick before being placed in the dryer. Notice how they are stacked so air can circulate around each brick. The holes you see in the brick were placed there when the long ribbon of clay came out of the forming die at the pug, and they are put in the brick specifically to give the mortar a better bond when the brick is used. A transfer car allows selection from any track, and the cars of brick are put in the dryer tunnel. The dryer is heated by exhaust waste heat from the kiln, which assists in the economy of the manufacturing process. The cars of green brick enter the dryer where the heat is 100 degrees, and it takes a day and a half for the car to travel to the 100-foot-long dryer. The brick is heated to 360 degrees before they leave the dryer, which holds 30 cars. Coming from the dryer, the car is loaded on a transfer car, which moves the load of brick from the dryer to the entrance of the kiln. The drying process is very important to the production of quality brick because it conditions the clay to withstand the intense heat needed to burn it in the kiln without cracking or warping. Before this method of drying was developed, brick had to be dried in open-air buildings or periodic tunnel dryers, which required a longer period of time to remove the moisture. Once the loaded cars of brick enter the kiln, they proceed by means of a hydraulic pusher without interruption, each car pushing the car preceding it. There are 47 cars throughout the length of the kiln. The kiln is 320 feet long, and the cars move through the kiln at 1 1/4 inches per minute. That means that the brick will be in the kiln about 2 1/2 days. 18 natural gas burners provide the heat for burning the brick. Each burner is automatically regulated to control the temperature in the kiln. Starting at 400 degrees, the heated brick first become red, then orange, and finally white hot at approximately 2200 degrees, and then are gradually cooled until ready for removal from the kiln. The heat has changed the clay from a soft mass into a hard, durable, and beautiful building material. Scientific and exact control all along their journey through the kiln is made possible by the use of delicate instruments on this temperature control board. The operator always knows exactly what is going on inside the kiln. As a double check for chemical and physical changes, draw trials are taken during the burning process to ensure the best possible brick as to color and size. Test bricks are put on each car. Now that the brick has cooled to 150 degrees, it is possible to unload them from the kiln cars. When the unburned brick was hand-loaded on the kiln cars, they were spaced so they could be unloaded mechanically. A forklift truck does the job efficiently without extra handling. From the kiln, the brick is hauled directly to the stock shed. This process goes on day and night as the kiln operates on a 24-hour schedule, 365 days a year. From the stock shed, the brick is taken by a second forklift truck to the shading, sorting, and loading yard. Here they are prepared for delivery to the job site or storage area. The brick is picked up automatically by specially designed hoist trucks in units of 1,500 brick each. In this grouping, the driver of the truck can load or unload the brick either in the plant storage area or to the job site without having to personally touch a single brick. This load of brick is destined for the storage area, where it will take its place with many more brick of the same color and texture, there to remain until needed by the contractor on the job. Many colors, textures, and sizes are kept on hand to meet the demands for clay products. More than 50 varieties are available. Once the brick are stacked in loads of 1,500, it is very easy for the truck to transfer the units to the storage area to await delivery elsewhere. Here is another brick-making machine, similar to the one we saw in operation. The mixed clay is fed into the pug mill where water is added and then thoroughly tempered before being forced through the die. The clay is extruded through a die just as before, but in this case, part of the clay is shaved off the surface of the column. This gives a ruffled or matte texture to the brick. A matte texture brick is one with a finished surface between a smooth and a rough textured face brick. After trimming, the ribbon of raw clay travels along the belt to the cutter and then on to the roller for separation. So far, except for adding the matte texture, this operation is exactly like the one we saw before. The manufacturing process is basically the same: mixing, extruding, cutting, and then stacking the brick by hand. But once the brick is off the conveyor, the manufacturing process is different. After being neatly stacked on wooden pallets, a lift truck picks up the stack and trucks the brick to the drying room. Continuously, the brick flow along the conveyor. These men know their work and do their job swiftly and efficiently, stacking pallet after pallet. After drying, the brick is set by hand in these periodic or beehive kilns. A small amount of parting sand is placed between each brick to prevent the brick from sticking to each other in the intense heat. The brick is set to allow the gas flame to contact the surfaces of the brick. This, together with the proper clay mixture and temperature, produces the popular golden buff color. This type of setting is called flash setting. The gas flames heat the brick gradually to a white-hot temperature of approximately 2,200 degrees. The firing process takes about 8 days. After allowing the brick to cool so they can be handled, the workers unload the kiln by hand, carefully inspecting each brick. These bricks are stacked on pallets inside the kiln so that the operator of the maneuverable lift truck can move in and pick up a load of 400 finished bricks. These brick are taken directly to the loading yard, where they will receive final inspection prior to truck delivery. Many methods and kinds of trucks are used in the delivery of the finished brick. Some require the loading of the brick by hand. In cases of long deliveries, straw or paper is placed between the brick to prevent the marring or scuffing of the faces while on the way to the builder. Another method of handling certain brick is this lift truck and loader combination. The forklift deposits the load on the truck and the brick are moved by a hand cart and stacked by the driver. Notice that each pallet is banded by a steel strap to prevent spilling and for the convenience of the mason contractor on the job. The forks on the cart and on the forklift fit in the openings left in the stack. This specialized equipment speeds the handling of large numbers of brick. Some brick is delivered in 1,500 units by automatic loading trucks. These trucks back up to the stacks of brick and pick them up automatically. Regardless of the means and methods employed, the brick is delivered to the customer in the manner most suited to his operation. Wherever possible, the brick is unloaded as near to the place they will be used to avoid unnecessary handling and carting contractor. On the job, the brick is in the hands of skilled craftsmen. It takes years of on-the-job experience to be able to set brick rapidly, accurately, and neatly. These brick masons can trace their trade back to biblical times, and you can see how exacting they must be in order to build such beautiful and durable walls. Here you see an inside wall where the builder has chosen a finished inside brick. This gives a wall that requires no upkeep, no painting, patching, or repairing. It has beauty and is moderate in cost. The finished inside brick is used extensively for corridors and hallways in schools, gymnasiums, and other public buildings. Here you see SCR brick, a different type of construction, which has the added advantage of laying up fast. With SCR brick, the builder can achieve single-wall construction. This brick is longer and wider than ordinary brick and is a new unit in the building trade. The durability and beauty of brick are the main reasons why this building material is chosen by so many builders. Brick is also used extensively in industrial installations, and because it is fire resistant, many industries insist on brick construction. This shows the face and backup brick in double wall construction. Beautiful and durable, this chimney is absolutely fireproof. Two kinds of brick are used here. Here is a 4 by 5 by 8 backup wall ready for plaster. Here is a finished inside corridor wall. Other clay products like this flue liner are made in much the same manner as brick. This is acid-resistant sewer pipe. And now let's look at a few clay products on parade. Here is golden buff face brick, desert coral face brick, mountain red face brick, flashed face brick, common brick, corridor brick, paving brick, Normans and Romans, 2 1/6 inch SCR, 3 1/2 inch SCR, patio tile, facing tile, and partition tile. And now for the final result. This beautiful fireplace speaks for itself. How would you like this brick masterpiece in your own home? By using brick with other building materials, you can achieve a most pleasing effect. Maybe you'd like a brick snack bar, or a beautiful red brick fireplace like this, or perhaps a decorative planter, or a combination planter and fireplace. Outside patios and walks paved with brick are both distinctive and permanent. For effect, brick walls can be painted. And brick is most practical and beautiful when used for retaining walls like this. Here is a home made from red brick. And this home was made from 2 1/6" SCR brick. The builder of this home chose 3 1/2" SCR brick for this most pleasing appearance. Norman brick was used in this home, and because of brick's insulation qualities, this street of brick homes will be delightfully cool during hot summer months. And in winter, residents on this street will be snug and cozy and will save on their fuel bills because brick protects against the cold. Industrial leaders wanted both permanence and beauty, so they chose brick for this modern research building. Brick's enduring qualities will cut down on upkeep costs for years to come. Moderate initial cost and low upkeep were some of the deciding factors in choosing brick for this new apartment house. Commercial building owners, too, specify brick, as do hospitals. Various religious groups who always look for permanence in their chapels choose brick because it is from everlasting to everlasting. Architectural beauty and flexibility of brick delight the architect and inspire new designs to suggest ageless ideals. Here, brick has been combined with wood for outstanding beauty. New school construction all over the Intermountain West is drawing heavily upon the brick industry for materials. Educational leaders have long recognized brick as the most suitable of all materials from which to construct our houses of learning. And the pupils therein can draw a lesson from these builders, an age-old truth. Anything worth doing is worth doing well. Yes, brick stands the test of time, and the edifices we build in this day and age will reflect a degree of learning and culture never before seen or excelled by man. Manufacturers of clay products take pride in furnishing a material of such beauty and everlasting qualities as brick.